are on 7 channels this morning, 7 different streams and streaming platforms. We can't name them all. We will get inhibited by some of the algorithms, but we bid you a fond good morning and aloha from Hawaii. Aloha means love, aloha means hello, aloha means goodbye. There's many different meanings of aloha, but we send love to you from Hawaii. Aloha. Good morning, Jay. All right, so we are filling up with the live this morning. We want to just remind you that we're not here to sell you anything. We're here to give you, okay? So we're here to give this morning. So if you want to ask questions, please. Jay is our, she's our moderator over here on this side, on this platform. So there's a camera over here, there's a camera over there, there's a camera over there, and we are on multiple platforms. So now let's get to it, okay? So the law of attraction, how to attract things into your world, how to attract things into your life, okay? How do we do that? Well, we have a positive mindset, first of all, okay? Now, the human emotional frequencies that we would like to address, we keep addressing, right? On the highest plane, or on the highest frequency, the highest vibration, is love. The lowest is fear, okay? So you want to be very, very careful because all of the negative emotions are rooted in fear. So when you have a negative emotion, when you're worried, when you're irritated, when you're bothered, okay, just know that there's a little fear associated with that, okay? So let's take a look at the positive first, okay? It starts with love as the highest vibration. Love is the highest vibration. Now, coming down from love, we have love, peace, gratitude, joy, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, hope, and satisfaction. Those are the positive emotions, the positive vibrations. Now, what are the negative vibrations? The negative vibrations start at worry, and they go all the way down to the most severe, which is fear, at the very, very bottom, at the root of everything. So it starts worry, irritation, disappointment, criticism, anger, hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and fear at the very bottom. So just know that if you're going through any of these emotions, okay, that these emotions are rooted in fear. Okay, there's something going on. There's something fearful there. Okay, now when you resent someone, it's another form of anger. Okay, so anger is, down there. It's down there in the lower vibration. But when you resent someone, okay, and this is why forgiveness is important. Forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you, so that you can let go. Okay, forgiveness is very, very important, because when you forgive, what you're saying is, I let go, right? When you resent, you hold on. Okay, so the example that I always give of resentment or of holding on, right, is like if you picture a runaway horse and you're holding the rope and the horse is dragging you behind it, at some point you're going to need to let go because you're getting hurt. And this is what Lao Tzu was talking about. Lao Tzu was the founder of Taoism. And Lao Tzu said holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal thinking that somebody else is going to get burned. Okay, so Lao Tzu was the founder of Taoism, just in case. Look him up, Laotzu, Lao Tzu. Okay, he was a philosopher. He was also the founder of Taoism. But this is important because forgiveness is allowing the negative vibration to leave. Okay, so there is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. And we always talk about affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Okay, this is very important. It doesn't matter what you believe. So when we reference the conscious, the subconscious, and superconscious, over here in superconscious, this is higher self. This is Jesus Christ. This is Allah. This is whatever you consider your higher source to be. Infinite intelligence. It's all of that. That is a pretty big deal. That is you can say universe, right? You could say source, okay? Source of all creation. And when you consider that, and you consider people standing up in front of a congregation and speaking on behalf of all creation, it's pretty interesting, right? But that's what the superconscious is. So now let's take a look at what the job of these three states of awareness is, okay? So your conscious mind thinks a million thoughts a day, okay? It just goes from thought to thought to thought to thought. Your predominant thoughts go into the subconscious. So if you want to look at this like a computer kind of scenario, okay, if we want to look at it that way, then your conscious mind is your operating software. Your subconscious is your hard drive where the programs are stored. Because when you start thinking in repetition, okay, or thinking about the same thing in repetition, it starts to become a belief. A belief is a thought you keep thinking, and it goes into your subconscious. Okay, now the superconscious. Okay, the superconscious is just like the totality of everything. Okay, it's the totality of all creation. It's the universe, it's consciousness, it's all of that. Okay, and so you can look at that as the network that we're all plugged into. And how are we all plugged into that network? In here. Whatever you want to call this, you're not your body, you're not your name. You're that energy that lives in here. That's what we all have in common. Okay? We are all spirits having a physical experience because your body carries this around. And that's what makes you different. That's what makes you unique. Out of 8 billion people on the planet, there are no duplicates. There are no duplicates. So when people ask me, a lot of young people ask me, Uncle, is God real? I'm like, yeah, God is very real. God is extremely real. And how is that? Well, you can test prayer. I tested prayer many times. And I prayed for things sometimes just to see, right? I prayed for some things that a church would not allow you to pray for. And it happened. And I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. So if God in the church was, that God that believed in those things, then when I prayed for something else outside of that realm and it happened, like, how would that even be allowed to happen, right? But it happened. So I can tell you that prayer works, okay? Prayer, asking, intention, okay? All of those things. When you're creating an intention or when you're making an intention, okay, or when you're forming an intention, the first thing is thought. First, you think the thought. Now, if you really want to materialize that intention, what do? You think it a lot. Because when you think it a lot, it becomes a belief. Now you believe it. Now the subconscious has to show you evidence of it. And what does the superconscious do? It helps the subconscious so that when you move forward towards your intention, okay, so let's say, for example, it's a new job. You start searching for the job. The superconscious starts giving you intuitive thought about the job. Well, maybe you should look here. Maybe you should look in the classifieds. Maybe you should look online. Maybe you should look wherever, right? I'm just giving you examples. Then as you seek, you shall find. Seek and you shall find. Ask and you shall be given. The thing that happens, right? People have told me for a long time. My clients have told me, well, I asked, I didn't receive. Well, I seeked, I didn't find it yet. So here's the formula. Ask, believe, receive. You have to believe in your asking. You have to believe that what you're asking for is, number one, realistic, number two, possible. Realistic and possible. Now, if you can wrap your mind around that, you could put it into your subconscious. The reason why people counter manifest themselves out of things is because we have a right brain and we have a left brain. Now, esoterically, in the Holy Bible, it talks about the Jews. Okay? Esoterically, in the Bible, it just means those that belong to the right side. Because Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father, not the left. Okay? Right side, right hemisphere of the brain, creativity. Okay? Imagination. Now, what's on the left side? Well, logic sits at the left side. And people constantly logic themselves out of their dreams because their dreams are on the right side. You get intuitive thought from the right hemisphere of your brain, not the left. So how does that work? Well, you get intuitive thought. Maybe I should start my own business. And then your logic kicks in and goes, yeah, well, it's going to be expensive to start a new business. You can't start a business from scratch. You know what happened the last time someone in your family tried to start a business, right? Okay, now you have negative self-talk. Where is it coming from? It's coming from logic. And slowly what happens is you rationalize yourself out of your dreams. Slowly, but you rationalize yourself out of your dreams. You start to counter-manifest yourself out of your dreams. Think about the last time you had a crazy idea. I'm here to say, trust your crazy ideas. I'm also here to say that you can start a business from absolutely nothing. Look at all the free things you have now. Look at all the platforms. All the platforms that we're on right now offer free accounts. Free accounts. And you can build these accounts. And the only difference between doing business in person and doing business online is that you don't have physical presence. You have digital presence. But it's the same thing. Just know that the how is always God's job. Always. I didn't know how. When we were starting back in 2008, I didn't know how. I just knew it was going to happen. And along the way, I met the people necessary that worked for me. And then I met other people that worked for me, and other people that worked for me, and other people that worked for me along the way. And each step got more clear, more clear, more clear, more clarity, because I didn't know how. So if you're an entrepreneur, just know that an entrepreneur's job is to hire experts, not to be the expert. Okay? You have to hire experts. You have to get to the point where you can hire experts. You don't have to be the expert. But anything that you put forth from the conscious to the subconscious as a belief will be affected by the superconscious. And the superconscious will start to give you ideas. And you need to trust inspired thought. And the reason why you need to trust inspired thought is it will guide you in the right direction. Okay, now let me give you my scenario again about inspired thought. Okay, you're driving down the street. How many of you, ask yourself, has this happened to me? You're driving down the street, you get that feeling that you need to turn right at this next street. But you have a left brain. You have rational thought. And you also have free will. So you say, no, that's okay. I'll go to the next light. And you get stuck in a traffic jam. And what do you say? You say, I knew I should have turned back there. I knew it. because you did know, you're not trusting yourself. You're not trusting your intuitive thought. So what happened in that instance? In that instance, the ego took over. The ego always believes it knows better. No, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do that. No, pull it here. Nope, pull it there. So many people live with a white-knuckled grip on life. No, I'm going to take it over here. No, I'm going to pull it back over here. No, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to insist on my own way. So the Christians have a solution for that. It's called let go and let God, or give it to God. What does that mean? That means stop insisting on your own way and walk by faith, not by sight. The reason why they say walk by faith and not by sight is because these are distractors. Your eyes, your physical eyes, are distractors. They look away from the kingdom. The kingdom is in here. Jesus Christ told us the kingdom is within. So if that's the case, your life unfolds from within, not like this. There are exterior events, but your life path, what you came to the planet to do, what you came to the planet to enjoy, what you came into the physical world to accomplish, to learn, to be, to do, and to have, comes from within. And it unfolds like this. And everything in the universe unfolds in rhythm. There is a rhythm to everything. It's a universal law. The universal law of rhythm. Everything has a rhythm. Money is an energy. Okay, money has a rhythm to it. There's a time when money comes in, and there's a time when money goes out. Everything flows and ebbs. That's the universal law of rhythm. All you have to do is become the observer. When you become the observer, now you can see the rhythm. Now you can feel the rhythm. Now you're aware of the rhythm. What makes you not aware of the rhythm? The physical matrix. People are bound to the physical matrix. What's the physical matrix? Well, you have a calendar, you have a clock, you have a schedule. I call it the mouse wheel. People are stuck on this mouse wheel. Monday through Friday, they have a schedule. Saturday, it's soccer with the kids. Sunday, it's church. Monday, they're back on the mouse wheel. The idea of being independent, or the idea of being an entrepreneur, or the idea of working for yourself is all about freedom. The idea of accumulating wealth is about freedom. Freedom from the physical matrix. I meet so many people in my coaching practice. These are high performance professionals, is what I call them. Because they're responsible for a huge job. They're responsible for people. They're managers, they're CEOs, they're attorneys, they're doctors. These are my clients. Some of them were not aware when I met them, because they're so focused on what they do, and they're good at what they do. So they focus on what they do. When someone embarks on a path. Okay, let's say it's a career. So first you go through your first 12 steps, 12-step program, 12 steps, 12 astrological houses, 12 disciples, 12 cranial nerves, 12. The number 12 is a thing, okay? But when you go through your first 12 steps, it's called high school. You graduate from high school. Then you go to college. Then maybe master's program, PhD program. But while you're focused like that in college, there's no time to learn 5 or 6 things. There's only time to focus on one. And that one is what you will focus on in the, because you're Here For You life coach. We didn't do it deliberately. We stumbled upon it. We didn't do it deliberately. We stumbled upon this. This was an accident. And in 2008, the question became, I wonder what's causing this? Because we had 7-year-olds, 6-year-olds standing in the middle of the studio, puffing their chest out like this, like they were confident. And because I used to pray a lot, I became the observer. And because I went through the process myself, I had a higher state of awareness. And I observed these things, and I had to ask the question, why is this happening? How is this happening? So when we did the research, we go, oh, okay. Neurotransmitters, this is a hormonal response. It's triggering hormones. So that became the answer to our question. So we took a deeper dive. We went into quantum physics. We discovered that each decision that you make has an unlimited amount of possibilities, infinite possibilities. And you choose them. How do you choose them? You make a decision. And that decision determines the results you get. And myself being a Libra, I'm very indecisive because I weigh everything out. There's a reason why Libra, are the scales. You kind of weigh everything. And well, I don't know if I should do this. This is the good side of this. This is the bad side of this. Let's weigh this and let's make a decision. And sometimes that process is lengthy for us. But when we discovered this confidence, like, wow, we took away anxiety from these children. And then they started excelling. So we started with military people. And pretty soon, the amount of PTSD in them just started to collapse. It didn't go away, but it minimized. It gave them the switch. I call it the switch. Because you have to switch it off. When you get into an area where there's a lot of people and you're feeling claustrophobic because they could be the enemy, right? And I'm talking about a military standpoint. I'm talking about in a military mind with PTSD from military activities. Then you have to have the switch, where the switch can be flipped like that. And you go, okay, it's just a little anxiety. And now you take it from this amount of alarm to this amount of alarm, and it's manageable because you have the switch. How do you get the switch? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. But the vocalization part was where we got the most immediate results. So if you take a look at people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, who gets his results through meditation, it's different. If you look at Tony Robbins, that gets his results from motivation, it's different. You're not your body, you're not your name, you're that energy that lives in here. And that is a spirit, because that belongs to the spiritual realm. I know that sounds a little spooky, but there's the body, and there's the spirit, and there's the separation of the two. And you have both. The body, okay, physical, okay, and the spiritual in here. The body does all the physical things. The body succumbs to the physical world. Some religious people have their belief about who runs the spiritual world and who runs the physical world. But there is a separation between the body and the spirit. The good news is that you operate from in here. The kingdom is within. It's only because you have eyes that you look out there. That's it. You seek out there. You seek relief over there, over there, over there. But you're looking away from the kingdom. You're looking away from where the magic is, if you want to call it magic. If you really want to see magic, go in the bathroom and turn the light on, and you will see a miracle. Many people take for granted that they're a human being in this life. But you have the biggest blessing right now. Like this, like that. The only thing you have to do is make it work for you. How are you going to do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Affirmations. Right. I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. I am so happy and grateful now that I have $20. Start with 20. I started with 20, then I went to 50, then I went to 100, then I went to 500, then I went to 1,000. I worked my way all the way up to 5,000, and then I said, okay, I don't have to prove anything anymore. And then I started writing for clients. 3 clients, 4 clients. Sometimes I got 3, sometimes I got 6. It didn't matter after a while. But once you condition your subconscious, you can pray and it will happen. Now, if you always pray, if you have a habit of praying, your prayers are being answered. Sometimes they don't look like the answer because the how is God's job. Sometimes if you write an intention, okay, if you always write intentions, and you don't use any negative words, your subconscious becomes conditioned, or let's say it another way. Your subconscious becomes active. Your subconscious starts working really, really well. And what happens? Well, you start writing affirmations and things start happening. How does that work? Is it magic? No, it's not magic. It's your subconscious. First, you get a thought. New car. I am so happy and grateful now that I have a new car. Thank you. Now the subconscious will start to show you things. The reticular activating system in your brainstem will start to filter out things you're not focused on. And guess what? You're going to start seeing new cars. You're going to start seeing new cars. Maybe you're focused on a red car. Maybe it's a BMW, and now you see so many red BMWs and you go, wow, I never knew there were this many BMWs. This is amazing. This is not a coincidence. This is not a magic thing. This is because you're designed this way. You're a human being. You're the highest form of intelligence on the planet. That's why. So now you're writing the affirmation. Now you're seeing evidence of it through the subconscious. What does the superconscious do? The superconscious starts feeding you intuitive thought on where to take the next step. And as you take the steps, the doors begin to open. And this is why when you start taking steps, the doors open. You meet the right people come into play, right? So as you take the step, the universe is there. God is there. Jesus Christ is there. Allah is there. You take another step, boom, there you go. And you become guided. Where do you get guided to? Your goal. So what do you focus on? Your goal. Not how. So many people are trying to figure out how to get from A to Z, or A to B, or A to F, however far they want to go. But the hows are paralyzing them. Analysis paralysis. How does that work? Well, they're trying to figure it out. You can't figure it out. You can have a general idea. You can't plan it. Every time you plan, try it. List your steps. List 10 steps. Okay, I'm gonna do 10 steps and my goal is XYZ. Go ahead and write out your steps. Follow your steps, because you're gonna find out that when you get to like step 3, 4, whatever, you won't even get to step 10. Your manifestation will happen. Why? Because the energy in here is real. Because the kingdom is in here. Because God lives in here. When you take the steps, the doors open. The only time the doors do not open is when you experience doubt or fear. When you get scared. Or the doubting happens when you start thinking about too much how. How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I don't know how this is going to happen. I don't know how that's going to happen. You have to ask in here. So close your distractors. Close like this. And ask. And when you ask, believing, you will receive. Seek and ye shall find. But you don't seek with these. When you seek with these, you get illusions. You get illusions. Gautama Buddha said, the man who sees life as an illusion escapes suffering. Why did he say that? Because he sees life for what it is, an illusion. Because the kingdom is in here. Everything out here is an illusion. How is it an illusion? Looks real to me, right? Everything out here is one of two things. It's either nature or something from someone else's in here. That's the illusion. So when you start to look at life energetically, when you start to look at the spiritual versus the physical, you start to understand these things. You start to go, oh, okay, I get it. Anything out there created by someone else's in here can be created by you too. How did Henry Ford invent the car? He kept sending his engineers back into the, back to the drawing board, back into the office. And they said, I'm sorry, Mr. Ford, we can't solve this. It can't be done. He did not accept that. He said, nope, you get back in there and you get back to it. He kept sending them back until one day they had a car. He didn't invent the car. His engineers did. He was an entrepreneur. He hired experts. You don't have to know how. The how is God's job. They didn't even know how. The engineers didn't even know how. They discovered how. How do you discover how? It comes from in here. Because every engineer had God in here. Every engineer had source in here. Every engineer had infinite intelligence in here. The how is not your job. I've done so many things in my life and I didn't know how. And I still don't know how. I just wait. I be patient. I intend. I desire. I go, okay, I desire this. All right, put it down, write it down. So here, I'll show you. Okay, this is my new one. This is my new one. I just started on that. This is the old one, okay? So there's no how involved. There's only intention. These are instructions for the subconscious. When you give your subconscious instructions on a regular basis, you will sharpen your subconscious. You will prompt the superconscious to feed the subconscious. And what they call this is alignment, when your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious are aligned. That's what it's called, alignment. So what does it mean when you align? How do you align these three things? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, all aimed at one thing. Because the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious function that way together, synergistically. It has to happen. You might have to have a little patience. People think they don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Time is your most precious commodity. Yet we find when we're patient, we find that when we're in meditation, when we're doing absolutely nothing, we're not wasting time. We're allowing. We're synergistically allowing things to fall into place. So there's different kinds of action. There's physical action, there's mental action. So the universal law of action says that an action is required for manifestation, or an action is required for a result. A decision is an action. It's a mental action. When you decide what it is you desire, not need now, desire. When you need something, it pushes things away. When you're needy, it pushes things away. When you desire something, it's a positive vibration. It draws things to you. When you express need for something, I need money, I need a house, I need a car, it just kind of pushes, it kind of holds things off like that. Only through aligned action of the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious is your momentum in sync with the superconscious. Let's call it God, let's call it Allah, let's call it Jesus Christ, let's call it infinite intelligence. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I believe what I believe, you believe what you believe. But there is only the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. That's it. So, look around you. Everything you have, everything you own, everything you use, everyone you love, is a result of decisions you've made. Everything you do, everything you have, everyone you know, is a result of your decision. So you have manifested this. Now that you've manifested this, the question is, are you happy or not? If you're happy, keep going. If you're not getting the results you want, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. It's that simple. This is not about, oh, this is right and this is wrong. This is not about judgment in that way. This is about, I made this decision, I got this result. I did this action which resulted in this. I crossed the street outside of the crosswalk and I almost got hit by a car. So maybe next time I should use the crosswalk or whatever. Okay? Or maybe you did get hit by a car. Every result has an action. It's Newtonian physics. When you initiate an action, be it mental or physical, you get a result. When you think that thought, you think it long enough, hard enough, goes into your subconscious. Subconscious shows you results. Superconscious starts giving you intuitive thought about it, about that topic, whatever's in the subconscious. When all three work together synergistically, the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, everything flows. Everything is effortless. Then you don't rush, you wait. You have patience, you wait. You go, well, it's coming. I just have to wait. I just have to be a little patient. It will be here. And it shows up. Unless you're going to make a counter decision. A decision against it is what I'm saying. Now you're counter manifesting. So counter manifesting is when you get an idea. Let's say you get it from the superconscious. And the superconscious gives you the idea. Well, you should buy a new boat. And you think about it, and your right brain says, yeah, that would be awesome. And your left brain says, okay, where are you going to get a boat from? Your left brain says, you know, it's going to cost thousands of dollars to buy a boat. And now you're counter-manifesting because your left logical brain, the logic side of you, is starting to tell your creative side that it's not possible. And you're either going to listen to the angel on this side or the devil on this side. That's why they have it in the cartoons. They're showing it to you. They're showing you the process. This is why Jesus sits on the right hand of the Father, not the left. This is why the journey of Moses, esoterically, is the journey from the left brain to the right brain. Because that's where the Lord is. On the right-hand side. So remember, when you're operating from love, peace, gratitude, joy, passion, excitement, enthusiasm, hope, and satisfaction, you're operating from the right side. When you depend on the right side, when you put your faith in the right side, things that belong to the right side. I'm not talking about political left and right, that's totally different. I'm talking about the right hemisphere of your brain. Imagination, creativity, infinite possibilities. Now you're on the right side. And in the Bible, they refer to those people that live on the right side, that are on the right side, that are of the right side. The understanding of the right side, they call them the Jews. Esoterically. Exoterically, they want you to believe the Bible word for word. They want you to understand it literally, not as a metaphoric reference. That's the difference between the right and the left. When you increase your awareness through affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization, what happens? The veil begins to lift. And now you start to see things for what they really are. Sometimes it's disappointing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like, oh, geez, I wish I didn't see that. I wish I didn't come to that realization. Does the veil stay lifted? No, it doesn't. It comes down again. Why? Well, because now you have to get back to work. Now there's a schedule. Now there's a clock. Now you have to go out into the real world. And your subconscious is absorbing that in real time. And what's that all about? Your subconscious is not a state of mind. It's a state of awareness. But your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. All of them. Your sight, your hearing, your taste, your smell, touch, everything. Look at it as data. You're absorbing data constantly. So evaluation in real time happens instantaneously in the human being. If you're aware. If your awareness is sharp. Let's say it another way. If you become resensitized instead of desensitized by society. There is a societal hypnosis. Only doubt and fear slow down your life path from unfolding. Your life path will unfold naturally. It will just unfold. And you will live your life purpose. You will be drawn to your life purpose. But if your ego, free will, starts to go, no, I want to go over here. I did that for years. For years, I'm like, no, I want to go over here. I was teaching. I've been teaching for 36 years. I was teaching, but I was like, no, I want to entertain. I want to do this. I want to play my guitar. I want to have fun. I want to do, and slowly God says, no, you come back over here. Here, there you go. And that happened through an increase in awareness, through a higher state of awareness. Because then you begin to see how it moves. You begin to see how the energy moves. You begin to see how other energies move and how other energies will push you into alignment. How other things will guide you back to where you need to be. And it's all in here. God lives in here. The kingdom is within. But if you look at yourself as just a meat suit walking around on the planet, you're not going to appreciate what's in here. You're not going to feel what's in here. you're not going to understand what's in here. You're going to use these and you're going to look out there when you should be seeking in here with these closed like this. This is why meditation is important. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, and visualization. Visualization because of two things. You need to see yourself there. Wherever the goal is, you need to see yourself there. It needs to be a movie in your mind. Your entire life is one long now. It's one long movie. And you create this movie. You're the producer. You're the director. You're the star. You are everything in this movie. There are other participants, your family, your friends, who you choose and who you don't. I've had to let go of a lot of family members. A lot. And it's painful. Because you wouldn't think you would have to do it. But sometimes you need to disconnect. Family is all about who treats you as family. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they love you. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they're good for you. Just because someone is related to you by blood doesn't make them family. You choose your family. Choose wisely. Because the people you choose will reflect you. Humans are very conducive to their environment. If you take a human from one environment and put them into another environment, they will become like that environment. They're chameleons. They're just fit into that environment. This is why they say, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you who you are. It's universal law. The law of correspondence says whatever's in here is going to be reflected out here. Whatever's in here is going to show up out here in the physical world. Whatever you're thinking about in repetition becomes a subconscious program, starts getting fed from the superconscious. And now as you take the steps with the beliefs in your subconscious program, the doors begin to open towards that. So if you're always under stress, if you're always experiencing anxiety, if you're always experiencing drama, if these things are more than 50% in your life, then you need to think about this. You need to think about changing it. Let me show you the tree really quick, okay? So imagine a tree. The roots of the tree are your subconscious beliefs. The roots. The trunk of the tree, the body of the tree, is your paradigm based upon what you believe. Now this is your paradigm. Your paradigm gives birth to your actions, the fruit of the tree. On top. The fruits of the tree will turn into results. You will know them by their fruits. Let's say it another way. Actions speak louder than words. Watch what they do. You will know them by their actions. Anybody can talk. Talk is cheap. 10 cents for 12, we used to say. Dime a dozen. Hey, Robert. Good morning. Good morning, you guys. Any questions before I leave? You can write them in the chat. So now that you understand the tree, it's easier to understand what's around you. When you look around, you can choose what you want and what you don't. You can say, okay, I like the car, but the house is not nice. So maybe the house I need to change. Okay, if you need to change the house, start writing. I am so happy and grateful now that I have my dream home. What does your dream home look like? List the details. What do you want? Oh, it has a swimming pool outside, or a hot tub outside, or it has 3 bedrooms, or it has 1 bedroom, or it has 5 bedrooms. What kind of garage does it have? Start writing the details. Be specific. Be specific. Be as specific and as detailed as you can, because that's what you're putting in your subconscious. Your subconscious will begin to show you evidence of it. The superconscious will start to guide you towards it. You take the baby steps and the doors begin to open. It's 8 o'clock and Jay has given me the signal. Time to move on. So we're going to disconnect from our international feed, and we say thank you and aloha. Much love to you from Hawaii, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Hawaii.